No Kevin Love, no problem for the Cleveland Cavaliers tonight. Finally, the Cavs show up. They have a pulse. They played some defense. They played with intensity. And J.R. Smith, welcome to the NBA Finals. It only took you 3 games to get here, but I'm glad you're here. I hope you're here to stay. Game 3 was really funny. It was almost like the Warriors, they were shocked that the Cavaliers actually had a pulse. They came out guns blazing. They tried to weather the storm. They did a good job. They kind of got back into it, but they just weren't themselves, and the game got away from them. And the reason they weren't themselves is because the Cavs actually played some defense. Where was this defense in the first 2 games? Where was this effort around pick and rolls, fighting over pick and rolls? If you can't get there in time, switching to pick and roll. Where was this effort? Why were you leaving people open for layups and dunks in the first 2 games? And now all of a sudden everybody's hustling, diving on the floor for loose balls, deflecting passes, not just allowing them to pass it into the paint, pass it around the perimeter, deflecting it, showing a pulse. This is the NBA Finals after all, and this is how you have to play. You have to play with this kind of intensity. And I honestly feel like the Warriors were just shocked. Like they couldn't believe that the Cavaliers were actually alive in this game. It was really funny. We got to give some props to Tyronn Lue because he did make adjustments. He did put LeBron James on Draymond Green. He did change up some of the lineups, some of the rotations. We saw Mozgov playing out there. Fry got more minutes. Richard Jefferson was in the starting lineup. As an NBA fan, I do wish this game was a lot more competitive because these finals so far, it's been nothing but blowouts. But hey, the Cavaliers, they needed a win tonight, however they could get it. And this sets up a very interesting game 4 because there's a lot of things to think about. I think game 4 is going to be the best game of the series so far. And I think it's going to be competitive because this win is going to wake up the Golden State Warriors. They played terrible tonight, and they're going to be focused. They're going to be mad because they just got spanked. They got destroyed. They got worked. We don't know yet if Kevin Love will be able to play in Game 4, but with how great the Cavs played, maybe he doesn't even need to play because it does seem like they played better without Kevin Love. Maybe if he was out there tonight, they wouldn't have played with that kind of intensity because you know that Golden State, they would be running a whoever offense on Kevin Love. You know they would. So maybe that would have an effect on the defense because if you have one player that's an extreme liability on defense, it does affect the entire team, but we didn't see this kind of effort. So Kevin Love can't be the scapegoat, even though they did so well without him. We need them to do this again. Can they do this again? And they have to do this again in Game 4. They're at home in front of their fans. It seems like these guys just don't show up on the road like J.R. Smith. It was really nice to see LeBron in attack mode. Finally, he put pressure on the defense of the Warriors. He was constantly attacking. He took 26 shots. He finishes with 32 points. That's what you got to do. Even if you don't score, but if you're attacking and trying to dominate the game, you give your team a chance. And that's what it's all about. It's about giving your team a chance to win. The Warriors, they do have the better team. They have the better bench. They're probably not going to play this bad again in Game 4. But at least you give your team a chance if you play with the intensity. You play like you want to win. You play like you belong in the finals. And then anything is possible. Now it's time to talk about Steph Curry because he is not playing like an MVP in the finals. And he even did this last year in the finals. He had games where he just wasn't really there. He wasn't the MVP. Tonight, his first half, it was like he shouldn't even be in the NBA with the kind of first half he had. It was terrible. The Cavs need to keep pressuring him, keep playing physical, and take advantage of this as long as it's going to last. Because if he wakes up and decides to show up and be the MVP Steph Curry, it's going to be a murder, an embarrassing murder, kind of like what we just did out here in Sunset. They only scored 2 points, and it was my matchup that scored early in the game, too. We could have kept them at 0 if I didn't give up that dunk. For those of you that are out of the loop, in Game 2, Kevin Love suffered a concussion In game 2, he got hit in the back of the head with an elbow when he was going for a rebound. He remained down on the play, and Draymond Green actually got an and one layup during that sequence. At the time, they didn't think he had a concussion. They took him out of the game.